Well, it rained all night, lightly but consistently, and it's been raining on and off quite lightly this morning. But I'm going to go out there and just risk getting soaked soon. Been in the tent long enough. Got some rainwater off the tarp and made some mint tea with that. So I'm enjoying that. And yeah, about to head out. I got my snicks. Wait, that's not my snicks. Titan. What is Titan? I don't know. I'll check in later. Let me tell you about Titan. Titan is value. Titan is satisfaction. Titan fits my active lifestyle. Titan is about a quarter of the price of the name brand, and I think you know who I'm talking about. The name brand, did you know that they use hydrogenated ingredients? Not Titan. You won't find it in here. In this day and age, you gotta look out for your health, because if you don't, who's going to? Titan. Your Snickers equivalent of choice. Just to show you what I was talking about with that beaver last night that was swimming around out there, just kind of looking like it was waiting to come in. It has dug out all these channels here, and then built this little ramp up into a hole there. So that's what I'm wondering if is the start of the beaver lodge, but I have no idea. I have no idea what one looks like in progress, but maybe that's it. There are some other holes around that have been dug, which doesn't really seem beaver-like to me, but I don't know. Just guessing here. So here's what I'm fishing with right now when I'm casting, using this little Mepsigilia 1. And when I'm trolling, I'm using this little floating wrap, and that's what I had a bite on last night when I was casting it from shore at camp. But that's all I have so far, is that little bite and that little fish on. Just casting at the, I'm on top of this beaver dam here. Just trying to cast on the other side of it. I don't feel like getting my feet wet today, so I'm staying on my lake. But well, it's coming down pretty good right now, and I was in it for a little bit in the canoe and decided to come in before I got too soaked. So I'm probably going to take a nap and then make lunch after, and hopefully it'll be not so wet then. It's been pouring for a while and there's tons of water accumulating here, so I dumped my yellow water and I've already got some rainwater here and it's looking a lot nicer. So, just gonna get all this stuff. Filled this easily, and there's a big pool over there too, but I don't really need it. I'll just dump it. So here's lunch for today. Got instant potatoes. One of those is pretty filling. Instant coffee, which I forgot that I brought, so I'm excited for that. I don't usually bring coffee in the backcountry because I don't like caffeine crash out here. Some cracked pepper for the potatoes. I would normally put cheese on the potatoes, but that was in the fridge bag. And a multivitamin. And speaking of the fridge bag, this was supposed to be the Boursin crackers and salami meal. So I'm kicking myself right now. It's a hard pill to swallow, or in this case, not swallow. It's been 24 hours since I realized I forgot the Boursin in the fridge. And now I am stuck here in this wasteland with only Triscuits. If my family should ever see this, tell them I love Boursin. I'm having way too much fun with the camera on rainy days, but the reality is that it beats the alternative, which is doing not much or reading, and I'm not enjoying my book right now. And I can't do any more crossword puzzles, you know? Like, when you can do one crossword puzzle every 2 minutes, it's just like, am I really being challenged? Am I having a good time? No. Here's a pro tip for you. Build a camping checklist so you don't have to go through this routine all the time. And then you can make a little section of final check of things to get before you leave if they haven't been packed already or can't be packed already. The only problem is if you forget to check the final checklist, which is what I did on this trip, and that's why I don't have that. So what you want to do is not rely on your brain, because they are faulty. In fact, I've got a condition called NTB. The doctors had to make it up specifically for me because really there was nothing else that was at my level. It stands for not too bright. So I suffer with that every day. But yeah, what you want to do is put something physical in your way to remind you to check. So that could be hanging something on your doorknob or putting something on the seat of the car to say, hey, remember to do this, you idiot. It is just pouring now. It really hasn't stopped for more than a couple of minutes all day, although it usually hasn't been this hard. But hopefully this is the last gasp of this this weather. It's supposed to kind of clear up this evening, but we'll see. I've been huddled under the tarp all day, just drinking coffee and tea, staying warm because it's kind of damp. but I could use some excitement. So as a result of forgetting the food bag in the fridge and not catching any trout today, I'm having popcorn for dinner, which is intended to be a snack, but it's fine really because I've done so little today that I really haven't worked up an appetite at all, so that's not an issue. So I'm going to make the popcorn, and to do it, just put enough oil in the pan, in the pot, to basically just cover the bottom with about half a centimeter of oil. I use canola oil because it's cheap. It has a high smoke point, and it works pretty well, the flavor with popcorn. So once you can hear the oil kind of simmering, which doesn't take long when you're using a burner, put the popcorn in, and if the oil is hot enough, the popcorn will start popping within probably 15 seconds. So you want to be careful to not have your eyes directly over this as you do it. One time the oil kind of splashed back when I put it in there. Maybe there was some water in it, I don't know, but you just want to be careful. So put in enough popcorn just to cover the bottom, and then cover it up because it's going to start popping in no time. Yep, there it goes already. And then once that's done, it might be enough to fill up the pot. I didn't put in too much. Just sprinkle some popcorn seasoning on there. This is salt and vinegar. So I'm not really sure why, but that how-to video was a complete failure because most of it did not pop. There's still some oil down there simmering, and it's pretty burnt. So not only did that fail, but I also wasted some of my limited food. So I'm going to try that again. I do have more popcorn, but that was a waste. Okay, so here goes round two. I think I just had the heat on too high. So pour that in. Heat's on low. And a couple of asides. When you're pouring oil in the backcountry, usually a little bit leaks down the side. You just wipe that up with your hands and work it in, and provides a bit of moisture to your skin, boosts its resiliency in the backcountry where they tend to get pretty scratched and raw, especially if you're clearing a site and breaking tons of firewood. The other thing is, if you're using Jiffy Pop, and you'll find at the end you've created a small snack and created a huge amount of landfill waste. That packaging is ridiculous. To make one batch of popcorn, it's upsetting. So if you're left with that much garbage after producing a snack, you should definitely consider why you're using that snack and maybe trying to find another one. Not to get preachy, but come on, it's crazy. Okay, so this is what's supposed to happen. And that's pretty perfect. It's stopping popping right as it's blowing the lid off. So I'm going to take it off. Might leave a few kernels unpopped, but it's better than burning a lot of it. And just try and shake it around a little bit to loosen things that are on the bottom. If they're pressing up against the hot pot, then they may still burn at the bottom there. So just sprinkle on the seasoning while it's still good and hot. I'm sure you know how to make popcorn. And that's one of my favorite backcountry treats. When you're base camping, like I am right now, it's easy to give in to the temptation to leave the burner on the gas can. And the one reason I would caution against that is because if somehow the nozzle and the knob gets opened up just a little bit, then suddenly you're leaking gas, and by morning this thing would be empty. So, and that has happened to me once before. And then you're stuck burning firewood for cooking fuel, which is not a bad thing if it's nice and dry and warm, but if it's cold and rainy, it sucks. Not to mention that you hauled in the burner and the gas can with you, and you might as well get the most of it, not have it just wasted. So that popcorn was awesome. It was pretty good for dinner. Delicious. And for dessert, I've got some white chocolate macadamia nut cookies. So the food situation isn't all bad. So it's approaching sunset on day 2, and the sun is finally coming out there on the horizon, and it has stopped raining, so that's nice. Got a fire going immediately to try and get the chill off. It's just damp and it's been cool all day. All my firewood, that whole pile there, is pretty wet. It wasn't covered by the tarp, it's on the side of it, but I wasn't concerned about that. Whenever it's been raining quite a bit, you can always just find some standing trees or standing dead wood, and find little bits and pieces near the trunk, because they will usually be sheltered from the rain, and they're quite dry, so it's no problem getting a fire started when you use that tinder. And then once you get the base fire going, you can put on some things that are a little bit wetter. Wow, what a beautiful evening. Just out of nowhere it was pouring, and then the storm moved past within a matter of 10-15 minutes, and now it's just perfect out here on my own little lake. There's no one else here. I've heard an ATV or two, I think, going in and then coming out, but aside from that, I have the run of the place. So I'm going to enjoy the fire just briefly and get a little fishing in while I can. I've barely been able to today because of the rain, so see if I can get a brook trout out of this lake. In the fire I just burned a little bit of my trash, just anything plastic or paper that can easily burn without leaving a mess. One thing that is always in fire pits is things that are lined with foil. So this package of instant potatoes is lined with foil. This tea is lined with foil. These don't burn, they just leave a mess of foil in the fire pit, so don't burn them. Laura and Sarah, I think you'll consider that fully TW. And here's even way more TW, which stands for trail weenie. If you put something to your lips to see if it's wet or not, like this, that's the best way to see if it's damp or wet. Usually you can tell from your fingers, but if you want to be a complete loser, like me, you can use your lips. See ya. Man, this evening is just too nice. Can't even fathom it. See the terrain there in the distance, and the gorgeous colors at dusk here. And that's camp right there.
and I haven't caught anything. I've had one tiny little bite that got off yesterday. Fishing now, and I was under the tent or tarp for the last 8 hours or so, and I'm just having such a great time. It's been so peaceful and calm here, and I'm the only one around, and it's exactly what I wanted out of this trip, to kind of discover my own little spot, despite that it has been used a little, but not by many people. And I'm just really content, and I don't know, something must be wrong with me to enjoy a rainy day this much. Well, this perfect evening continues. Got a nice bonfire going. The sky is quite clear and much darker than expected because there was just a full moon the other night. But it's quite dark and the stars are coming out, so once this fire dies down, I'll watch them for a little bit. I'm not too tired because I had a good nap, and I'm just enjoying being warm and dry beside the fire. My hands really stink like spruce needles and resin, which is actually quite nice. It's a smell I love. From breaking off branches and getting the driest ones I can find to make this fire. And I probably have smoke inhalation poisoning from breathing in so much of the wetness initially. But now it's warm enough. This fire is pretty hot, so it can dry things out quickly and stay a lot less smoky. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, when I was fishing at dusk and past dusk, I actually did have another fish on the line, and for a longer amount of time than last night, maybe 10 seconds. And it was almost certainly a brook trout because it's the only sport fish that's supposed to be in this lake. And it got off. I was trying not to overpower it. I was trying to finesse it and pulled the hook out. So, pretty heartbroken about that. They say it's better to have loved and lost than to not have loved at all, but I disagree. It's a stupid saying.